Hi everyone, I'm Erica from Madly Juicy and welcome to Creative Tips Tuesdays. So today we're going to talk about a subject that I believe drives anybody crazy, and that's productivity. I mean, there are so many tools, so many articles about this that I believe sometimes that we get more lost than helped. And that's why I decided to talk to Alexis from Smart and Charmed. I don't know if you know her blog or YouTube channel, but it's wonderful. I mean, I'm going to put link below. But what I love about her is her tagline, work smarter, not harder. I mean, I don't know if it works for you guys, but that's exactly what I want to hear. So Alexis, thank you for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me, Erica.
Thank you. Okay, so Alexis, I asked you 5 tips to build to be productive, you know. And before getting into that, I'd like to ask you one question, and that's what is the most common mistake that people do when it comes to being productive and organized?
So I think the most common mistake that I see when people are trying to be productive or trying to get organized is I see people taking on too much. So putting like too much on their plate. A lot of times I think people when they're just getting started have a lot of passion and they really want to get a lot done, whether it's for business or for personal or whatever the situation is. Once you have that vision, you kind of want to run after it and get it. But for a lot of people, they put too much on their plate and then it overwhelms them and then it ends up making them disorganized. So I think the best way to combat that is to just take things one at a time and don't overload yourself, because you can't make a massive change in your productivity on day one. So start with little steps. One thing at a time is going to get you further than taking on too much and then falling flat on your face.
Yeah, it makes sense because especially for people who are building their business on the side, you know, like we tend to want to do so much because basically for them it's just a little bit of amount of a time. So they're thinking, okay, at that moment I'm going to do this, but at the end of the day it doesn't work. You know, it's just there's life as well. You know, and I think that's one of the things that most of people don't think about when they think about productivity. It's just what I have to do, not what is in my life. So, okay, so let me know, what are your 5 tips?
So my 5 tips for someone who's trying to start a business.
Exactly.
Okay, so my 5 tips for people who are trying to start a side business, what I call a side hustle, is number one, to get clear on your business vision. So a lot of people have this idea that they want to start a business and they want to do something on the side, but sometimes they haven't really fleshed out the idea. Now, this doesn't mean that you have to have like every single step planned out, but you need to have like a general idea of what you're going to do and how you're going to do it. Almost like a blueprint, a little bit of a roadmap of what you're going to try to do. So once you've gotten clear on your business vision, that's number one. I want you to set goals. So once you've got that vision in mind, you really should set goals for what you're trying to accomplish, because this can be goals in terms of the output of what your activities are going to do. So maybe it's goals for how long you're going to spend on your side hustle or your project a week, or it's goals in terms of the output of results, like you're going to look to try to get, you know, this many followers on social media, or you're going to try to get this many email subscribers or this many customers. So I think by setting goals, it kind of gives you like clear targets to be hitting. If you are anyone who's worked in real business, you know that like KPIs and actual goals and things like that are very important. So setting goals is number two. Definitely need to do that. Number three is to make a simple project plan. So I think that if you've got that full-time job, working on your side business, your time is going to be very tight. So you should have that roadmap broken out with a project plan. So taking that vision, taking those goals, and making a concrete plan. Again, you're never going to know everything that has to be done, but you need to really do your work and do your research to figure out, for the most part, what is it that you're trying to do? And then you can fill in the blanks later. The next tip I have is that you really need to block out time to work on your side hustle. So, you really should have like a block schedule where you're maybe a few times a week, you're going to spend 2 to 4 to 6 hours on your business, because when you're working a full-time job and having this part-time thing you're doing on the side for yourself, it's really hard to force yourself to carve out time. But if you kind of know, like every Thursday from 2 to 6, you're working on your business, it's something that becomes expected, and then you're able to get into that side hustle, mindset easier. And then my fifth and final tip is to track your results, right? So if you're not paying attention, if you're not tracking what you're doing, you're not going to know how far you've come. A lot of times when you're getting started with a business, because it's such a big undertaking, you get discouraged very easily. But I think that if you're paying close attention to what you've actually gotten done and the progress you've made by tracking your goals and tracking those project plans out, I think that it'll be more encouraging to you, because you can look back and see all the things you accomplished, and you can kind of see, you know what, I really have made progress, and that gives you enough motivation to continue.
Okay, I see. I do have a couple of questions. Okay, so to go back to, I think it was step 2, the goals. How many goals? Because sometimes it can be overwhelming, like to have so many goals and not knowing, where to start. So how many goals would you advise?
Okay, so that's a great question. So when it comes to goals, I follow the philosophy that there are 3 types of goals you can have: short-term goals, medium-term goals, and long-term goals. So the way I break those down is a short-term goal is something that takes maybe a couple of days to take care of at the most, maybe a week. A midterm goal is something that can take maybe a few months, like maybe a few weeks to a few months, like maybe 2 weeks to, I don't know, maybe 3 months to complete, so maybe a quarter. And then a long-term goal for me are things that are really kind of like 6 months to a year or more to accomplish. So if you think about the goals in those terms, I don't think you should have any more than 3 for each at one time. So you can set 3 immediate goals for you to do this week, and you can set yourself 3 immediate goals for you to take care of this month or this quarter, and then you can set 3 goals for the year, you know what I mean, or for 6-month period of time at one time. So once you've gotten those short-term goals done, because you've done it this week, you can set a new 3 for the next week, but no more than 3 of each type at a given time.
All right. And so you were talking about, like setting time to execute tasks. Like I was saying earlier, there's life, right? So how do you manage it? How do you really, get stick to that idea that, okay, if tonight I'm going to go on Instagram, and just simply answer to comments, it's going to be just that. I feel like sometimes what is the most difficult thing for most of people is that sometimes you're going to get a call, sometimes anything can happen, right? So how do you do that? How do you really get stick to just doing the task you were supposed to do at that time, that mini goal?
Yes, so I completely understand. So yes, this is where having that project plan is really important, because number one, if you've set this time for yourself, right? When you choose this time that you're going to sit down, that I want you to make like a regular time, obviously you're going to look at the rest of your schedule and make sure this is time that you don't have to do something else. So you wouldn't want to schedule this time on top of like your child's like piano lessons or something else you're supposed to be doing, right? So you find that piece of time that actually works. And again, like I said with the first tip, the mistake people try to make is they try to do too much too soon. If all you can manage is maybe 1 2 to 4 hour block a week, then that's what you start with, right? Start with something manageable. Then comes in that project plan, right? You've got that plan of attack for when it's time for you to sit down to do this work. You know what you're supposed to be working on. And all of that kind of helps you stay disciplined. But the other thing is, like you said, life can happen. There can be an emergency, there can be an accident, something else can come up. So the final piece of the puzzle for me as an entrepreneur is have grace for yourself. So don't be too hard on yourself, because life does happen, you know what I mean? And if you have a legitimate reason, like something happens that has to pull you away, you shouldn't feel bad about yourself for that. Now, if you go and watch TV and do something else that's wasting time, okay, you can be a little bit hard on yourself, right? Be a little bit hard, be honest with yourself, say like, you were avoiding your work, you were being lazy. This is something we have to work on in the future. But overall, life happens. You have to have grace with yourself. and you can't be too hard on yourself unless it's you're causing the issues. And then you need to kind of, tighten your belt a little bit and get a little stricter with yourself.
So I've interviewed a lot of business people around my time, and I feel like there is always two types of business person. There's the one who's strictly focused on his business until he make it, and there is the one who believe that you need some time for yourself. So meaning, even though you plan your week, you have to plan your free time. Which one of those person are you, and why?
No, I'm the plan your free time. I'm not the really, no, if you look back at my personal story for my business, which I know we don't have enough time to talk about it here, but I've talked about it on my YouTube channel, on my blog before, if people want to go check it out, and I'm sure you'll leave links. But, I'm someone who this side hustle took me 5 or 6 years before I went full time for myself. And part of that was because I didn't have that vision 100% nailed down. And part of it was because maybe I didn't have that project plan nailed down. Like it took me a while to get where I am. So I definitely think I'm someone who took the slow road, I guess. But, I'm also the kind of person that once I did know what the vision was and once I had the plans, I was quick to act. And I think that that's just something that maybe is part my own personality. And I think it's also part of the fact that when you have a vision and you have the time and you've married that with a really good plan, you are personally driven to get it done. So you're going to act faster. So I think part of it is personality. Part of it is really preparation.
Yeah, it makes sense. It makes a lot of sense. Okay, I have one last question, and that would be, what are your tools that you use to be productive and organized?
Yeah, so the top 2 tools I would say that I use to be productive. Number 1 is my laptop, my MacBook Air. I have this teeny tiny laptop that people can't believe that I run a business on an 11-inch laptop, but I do. I do all my video editing on it. I edit my photos. It's where I do most of my work, where I do my designing and my writing, and everything that I do is on my computer. And then my second biggest productivity tool for me is my Charmed Life Planner, which is the planner that I sell and designed. It's a digital planner that I've turned into a physical one for myself. But this planner, the way that it's set up, works for me in my mind. And just the way an entrepreneur might work and have to plan things out. It includes things like project planning pages and, task list and things like that. So there's place for me to schedule everything and track my expenses, and everything is in my planner. So that's my second productivity tool.
By the way, I really love those. I mean, I saw some pictures on Instagram. They are really beautiful. And I love what you say, that it works for you, because there are so many planners. And like I was saying earlier, there are so many tools, right? So it's about finding the right one for us, like for you, for me, etc.
Absolutely.
So thank you so much for taking the time to answer my question. I believe that is going to be very helpful for everybody. I mean, everybody get lost in that, and like I said, there are so many information, and I believe that those that you gave today are going to be very useful for everybody. So thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having me, Erica.
And I hope you guys enjoy this too. And if you have any question, feel free to comment below, and I see you next Tuesday on Creative Tips Tuesdays. Bye-bye.